My goal was definitely to make the audience sweat. I'm like, I want the audience to feel as close as what I can, to what these girls are going through, which is it's just crazy.
DW, how are you?
Good. I'm doing good. It's a beautiful outside in Toronto, so I am happy.
Yes, as are we. We are dying to get outside, but we are very happy to be speaking with you. So thank you for sharing your time with us, first and foremost.
Of course, of course.
We had the lovely pleasure of watching your film, and we really did love it. And I mean, Devry and everyone in this film is so incredible. But where did this story of Backspot begin for you?
For me, Backspot, I knew I wanted to tell like a sports kind of drama. For me, growing up in a hockey household, it was crazy when my brother was trying out for teams, and like there was just so much chaos and like pressure in our house. And I'm like, why is this here? It's just a sport. But so I really wanted to dive into that. I remember 6 years ago at TIFF, I kept seeing films that all had cheerleading sequences, but it was like artistically done. I was like, huh. I was like, maybe this is the film I'm trying to break. I mean, we've all seen hockey films, basketball films. When you think of cheer films, you think of Bring It On.
Yes, of course.
But that's comedy, that's funny, that's silly, and it doesn't actually show the athleticism of what it takes to be a cheerleader. And I think digging more into the cheer world, I quickly found out that, oh my God, it's brutal. So I really wanted to highlight the blood, the sweat, the vomit, the concussion. It's a brutal sport.
What would you say is the thing that's kind of surprised you the most about your research that you kind of did into this?
We had a cheer team out in Brampton that we were so lucky enough to kind of just like make a proof of concept together, and then we just ended up getting along, and they kind of just gave me open access. They were like, you can come to practices as you like write your movie. And so I really got like a 3D experience of what it was like to be a cheerleader. It was stressful and anxiety inducing. And then they'd be running around dancing to Cardi B, like pounding McDonald's before doing flips. So I was like, oh my God, there's just so much here. There's like fun and levity, and there's stress and anxiety. I went with them to a competition once, and it's just like 8 a.m. You're listening to high intense, like drum and bass electronic music blasting from the speakers. And these people are just going at like, there's mom and dads with like coffees. And I'm like, this is like a high stress situation.
Yeah.
That for 12 hours for the whole day.
Oh my God.
All these different families coming in and out. And these girls, their whole season, you practice, and it's all for 2 minutes and 30 seconds. 2 minutes and 30 seconds, you gotta nail perfection. And if you don't, you let your entire team down. I'm like, wow, what a pressure cooker. I remember during that competition, seeing a girl get a concussion instantly and then vomiting everywhere.
Jeez.
And the thing that really kind of opened up my eyes was they knew this was going to happen because they had two people with garbage cans off to the side, basically waiting for something like that to happen. The team finishes their performance, they go off, and they clean it up within 2 minutes. Like, it's like a well-oiled machine.
Yeah.
So well-oiled that you're like, oh, this happens all the time.
Wow.
It's funny you mentioned you were following a team in Brampton, because I went to high school in Brampton, and me growing up, seeing cheerleaders in films and shows have always just been like sidelines at the football game, whatever, from whatever show or movie that I was watching. And then when I went to high school, our high school had a competitive cheerleading team, and that's what it was giving me vibes of watching this. And I was like, I've never seen this before. I had no idea that this was what went into this when I was in high school, seeing them do what they were doing. It was like a well-oiled machine. And then it brought me all back to that watching.
What was your audition like?
I did not have the stamina for it. I did not have the stamina for it.
I get it.
But it's cool to see that. It's awesome that you were just on location and following a real team doing their thing and seeing that in real life.
And it's comforting knowing as well that, Cardi B and fast food makes us not that much different from cheerleaders.
I think we could
kind of our lives that we
very
live.
true. Very true.
Oh, that's awesome. I love that.
What we also love so much is that we got to see, Cineplex theaters just so in plain sight. You're not really hiding that this is Canada, and we love all of that. Do you feel like working at Cineplex is almost like a rite of passage for Canadian film lovers to kind of go through?
I do, and I'm mad because they never hired me as a teenager.
Same.
So this was me getting back. Like, I feel like I was like, if I can't have the teen Cineplex experience. I'm like, clearly I love movies. They're going to hire me. They never did. So I was like, I will experience it through my film. Well, that's kind of what I did. But yeah, as a teenager, there's something so special about going to the movies on a Friday night, movie you really wanted to see, and you go and you're just kind of transported to another world. And yeah, it's so sad that like people aren't going to the movies as much because it is so magical.
Absolutely.
It is. And I was at the movies last week with my dad, and your package for this film was playing with you and Devery talking about it. So I'm like, oh, that's so cool knowing that we're going to be talking to you guys next week, and here you are now in front of it. But yeah, it was cool seeing that. And like, for us too, like we used to work at Square One, so the theater that you guys were shooting at was right across from that. So we're like, oh, we know exactly what theater they're at.
We know what door doesn't work. Yeah. I'm surprised they got through it.
Exactly that.
Yeah, that theater was so cool. It had like a very like retro feel too, which is what I was going for. But yeah, love me a movie theater. I love me a movie theater carpet too.
Yes,
Oh,
100%.
yes. And you nailed that by showing that the steps there. We love that.
Yeah, that was such a great sequence. We'd love to know, like, what were I know you mentioned Bring It On earlier, but what were you looking at any other sports films that maybe like resonated with you growing up? You're like, I want to evoke this feeling for people when watching Backspot?
Yeah, I would definitely say it's a kind of like a monster mash of like a couple different films. I would say kind of like Black Swan in terms of like, body and pressure. Bennett like Beckham, that was it made a huge impact on me because there's also so much lightness to it, but it's kind of like the perfect indie blockbuster movie. And then 13, diving into young people and mental health and all of those things. And then also Whiplash, dynamic between, kind of like a mentor and then trying, playing the drums or being a cheerleader and trying to hit that perfection.
What was it like also partnering with Elliot Page in the production process for this kind of film?
I mean, it was kind of mind blowing for a debut feature. People usually don't have these like big names attached. It was a lot of key moments when people say, it's a series of small miracles to make a movie. I absolutely 100% true. Elliot Page happened to be a fan of Devery Jacobs from Reservation Dogs, and he loved that show and kind of asked us for a general meeting with her. And then she kind of soft pitched Backspot in the meeting as he was kind of getting his production company up and running. And then they read the script and they loved it and they wanted to come on board. Like, it sounds like too easy and like too good to be true. It did happen in reality.
That's just blessings upon blessings right there.
Yes, stars aligning.
Yeah, and we've been lucky to speak with Devery a few times on the show, and we are just such massive fans of her. I know you both have been collaborating for a little while, and you have Night Is Why, your production company as well too. How did your relationship begin together? Like, where did that start, and when did Backspot come to the picture?
We met at a film institute along with our writer Joanne Sarazin, our producer Alona Metzer, and Thomas Olajide, who plays Devin in the film. So we kind of all met in this kind of, going through kind of schooling way. And that's where we were able to kind of make Backspot a proof of concept together. And so that kind of really were the seedlings. Obviously she's an incredible champion for like Indigenous storytelling and Indigenous voices. And I felt very similar in terms of like queer voices and lifting up those voices. And there was just so much like, respect and cross-contamination. I don't even know if that's the right word, but like it just there's so many similarities, and I think we really just a lot of the movies we love are very similar, and I think that really got our creative minds going. And then jumping into producing and working with our writer Joanne Sarazin on the script, we were just able to kind of just like always be throwing ideas around, which is great.
Yeah, and I bet it also helped that Devery had a background in competitive gymnastics as well too.
That was very helpful. Yeah. I remember me, kind of talking about, I think this is the movie I'm trying to break, and her turning around in the taxi cab on our way to TIFF and her being like, that I'm a provincial champion gymnast, right? Like, I've won medals. And I'm like, well, that is very good to know. And now And it was, just kind of a funny thing. But yeah, I mean, she's an incredible actor, and for her to just have those abilities, I think like months before she was like going to the gym and getting all of those like back tucks and round, I don't even know how to say it, round off back handsprings back. And yeah, it was incredible. She did all of her own stunts in the movie. So that's all her.
Wow. Yeah, you see it, and that's so like as you were saying towards the beginning of our conversation, that what people put their body through to go through this, and you see it all on screen, and you see like the incredible, like when they get it right, but you also see when it doesn't go right, and it's really scary. Like Shay and I were legit just like clenching up watching, so we're like, we don't know what's about to happen.
We just
right
never
now.
knew what was gonna, especially the scene where there's that pressure being applied during that stretch. The entire time,
God.
I felt like my body was going through a lot of different moments, and I just like, can we just close my eyes for a quick second while we watch this, because this is really hurting me. Sitting on a couch watching this movie, by the way.
My goal was definitely to make the audience sweat. I'm like, I want the audience to feel as close as what I can, to what these girls are going through, which is it's just crazy.
Oh yeah, it really is.
You definitely achieved that. We also wanted to give you a huge shout out as well for your music video that you directed for Priyanka, No New Friends. Friend of the show as well. We absolutely love her, and wow, what an awesome video that you made as well.
Thank you. That was so fun. We shot that a couple weeks ago.
Oh, wow. Fast turnaround. Yeah, but Priyanka's amazing. So yeah, when we were just watching it before we jumped into this, we're like, damn, like banger. That's cool. It's a banger track. Yeah. And then you also just dropped a banger track too with Body Limit. So do you sleep at all? Like what do you do for downtime?
I feel like these days I'm not sleeping too much, but I'm also in like the sprint to the finish line. Backspot's coming out May 31st. Mm-hmm. So I'm just kind of like, I feel like an athlete. I feel like film people are athletes, going to set, getting the money, going through editing. Like you really do. I think if I've learned anything from this movie is you got to treat your body right. You got to eat well. You got to keep your mind in like a good place, or else, it's just all kind of goes downhill from there. So I'm like in my last athletic sprint for this
the last 10 days,
Yes.
Nearly there. Really quickly before we wrap, we did also want to call out that the fact that you got to premiere this trailer in front of the PWHL game in a sold out crowd, which has already been incredible seeing what the PWHL has done this season.
Oh, yeah.
What was that experience like for you, being able to DJ and then show off that trailer to the arena?
I mean, it meant everything. As soon as I heard the PWHL was forming, I was like, tell me what the link is. I'm buying season tickets.
Yeah.
And I was lucky enough to get a hold of season tickets. I went to as many games as I could when I was in town. What an incredible team. What an incredible season. So to be able, on Pride Night, to be able to DJ and to show a sold out crowd, that trailer was just so amazing. And so many people just messaging me being like, I saw it at the game. I think we also played the trailer game 5 when we unfortunately lost to Minnesota. But to just be able to play in both of those arenas, because at the end of the day, female athletes, non-binary athletes, trans athletes are athletes, and they need to be uplifted, and then that's the audience. And so it was just so cool.
We absolutely love that. DW, we're just so grateful for your time. We really hope we get to talk to you again, and we cannot wait to see what you get to work on next. So thank you again.
Thank you both.